Hey everyone, today I'm going to be introducing you to something called Socratic Seminar. So in these notes, we'll talk about what Socratic Seminar is, what it looks like in class, what you need to do to prepare for it, and also how you will be assessed. So first, let's talk about what Socratic Seminar is. Socratic Seminar is simply a formal discussion about a text that we're reading in class. And by text, I simply mean like a novel, a short story, a poem, an article, or anything that we're reading and analyzing in class. So now, the formal discussion is going to be one in which the participants ask each other open-ended or evaluative questions in order to analyze the text. So this is how the process will work. First, you need to independently read and analyze the text. Before you can talk about it, you need to know what's going on in the text. Step 2, you'll prepare questions. So in order to contribute to the discussion, you'll need to ask your classmates evaluative questions. We'll be spending some time on our next lecture note talking about what evaluative questions sound like. So if you're not really sure what an evaluative question is yet, I'll let you know on our next set of notes. Step 3, after you have written your own questions, you also need to answer them. By answering your own questions, you've ensured that your questions are effective and that they're easy to answer. Also, this will allow you to contribute to the discussion on another level. And then step 4, obviously, after you've prepared for it, you'll need to participate in the Socratic Seminar. So this will allow you to share your perspective while also listening to your classmates' perspectives about the text. Now on this next slide, I wanted to give you more details about how you can better prepare for Socratic Seminar. So first, obviously, like I've said, you have to first read and analyze the text. Now, for Socratic Seminar, I know that there's a lot of people who kind of feel nervous about having to talk about a text in front of their classmates, but I can assure you that the more you read and analyze the text, the more confident you're going to feel going into the discussion. Obviously, step 2, we want you to write those evaluative questions. Hey, when you write evaluative questions, you're going to be encouraging the participants in the discussion to give more than just one-word responses. And then step 3, like I've already mentioned, you need to answer your own questions. Now there's a lot of students who kind of feel like this is a weird step, but by answering your own questions, you're going to make sure that you're finding evidence from the text that supports your analysis of the text. So when you get to the point where you're answering your own questions, you need to actually cite evidence from the text by using page numbers. This allows me to see that you have actually analyzed the text and you prepared for it in the discussion in a very effective way. One more note before I move on to the next slide. I will typically give you a guide that helps you prepare for Socratic Seminar. So it will be like a step-by-step process, like a little worksheet that you can fill out. So if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't really know what you're talking about, things will make sense once you see the guide that I'll give you to prepare for Socratic Seminars. This next slide is about what you need to do while you're participating in the Socratic Seminar. So imagine this. You've spent your time reading, you've spent your time writing and answering your own questions, and now the day has arrived that you're going to participate in the Socratic Seminar. This is what you need to do when you're actually actively participating in the discussion. First, you need to demonstrate active listening skills. So obviously, you'll spend some time speaking in the discussion, but a large majority of the time is spent listening. So you can show that you're actively listening to your classmates by using eye contact, by using facials, smiling, letting the person know that you're listening, and even body language. Nodding to let the people know that you're listening, even leaning forward can indicate that you really care about what a person is talking about. So we want you to show these active listening skills so that you can demonstrate to your classmates that you care about their perspective. Also, during the discussion, when it's your turn to speak, we want you to project your voice so that the other participants can hear what you're saying. Number 3, we would love to see you invite others to share their perspectives. it is okay to respectfully encourage other people to join in or ask new questions. So for instance, when I am personally in a discussion, it's kind of hard for me to exert myself and kind of assert myself into the conversation. And so I always really benefit when somebody says, hey Megan, I haven't really heard much from you. What would you like to say? Or do you have any questions? That kind of opens the door for me to jump into the discussion and share my perspective. So it is okay to respectfully ask people to share a question or to answer a question. Now, obviously, the key word there is respectfully. We don't want you to point anyone out in a mean way. Oh, hey, so-and-so, I noticed that you're really quiet. Okay, that can kind of put somebody on the spot, which might make them uncomfortable, which ultimately makes them not want to participate in the conversation at all. So if you are going to encourage other people to join in the conversation, you need to do so in a way that's very respectful and polite. And then the last little bullet point there is that in discussions, it's okay to embrace awkward silences. Sometimes people just need a moment to process information, which will then allow them to speak. And actually, they say that awkward silences actually cause a creative outburst to follow. So while you're in the discussion, if you notice that people are being kind of quiet and no one's really saying anything, it's okay. Some people just need time to process. So now for the next two slides, I wanted to kind of show you what Socratic Seminar looks like in person and in the virtual world. So on this slide, I show you what Socratic Seminar looks like in person. So if we were doing Socratic Seminar in the actual classroom, I would rearrange the desk to form two circles, an inner circle and an outer circle. The inner circle would allow people to actually actively participate in the discussion. Now, it's one thing that I'd like to explain is that two circles are used so that there's smaller groups so that more people have time to engage. So the inner circle is going to be the circle that's asking intriguing questions. They'll share their perspectives, they'll listen to differing opinions, and they're the group that analyzes the text. Now, people on the outer circle are simply observing the discussion. They're going to be taking notes, they're going to evaluate a partner, and they'll also make suggestions for improvement. So now just to kind of share how the partnering works, I typically have somebody on the outside partner with someone on the inside, and those partners should be able to see each other easily. That way, the person who's on the outside can give pointers to the person on the inside about facials, about eye contact, about volume, about types of questions, and things like that. By using the partnering system, we're going to encourage each other to get better at discussing and collaborating with others. Now, after the inner circle is completed or has completed their discussion, the inner circle would rotate to the outer circle would rotate to the inside so that outer circle can have a chance to discuss as well. Now, obviously, this looks a little bit different in the virtual world, and so we might potentially do Socratic seminars via Google Hangouts. So if we do a Socratic seminar via Google Hangouts, things are going to change just a little bit. So on this slide, I just have shared some expectations for you, okay? First, when you are speaking via Google Hangouts, it's going to be important that you're in a quiet space so we can hear you clearly as you talk. Also, we want to make sure that you leave your camera on if you are actively engaging in the discussion. This is important so that you can still demonstrate those active listening skills. You need to show the participants that you're using facials and body language to demonstrate that you're listening. If you are observing via Google Hangouts, we would ask that you show that you are not actively engaging by turning your microphones off or even your camera. Obviously, if you are participating in the discussion, we would want you to leave your microphone on and camera on at all times so that we can see and hear you. And then the last little tip that I have for you here is if you don't want the rest of your classmates to see the room that you're sitting in or whatever place that you're at, you can use the background feature on Google Hangouts, so you can give yourself a cool background so that we don't see your bedroom or anything like that. Okay, that's just an option. It's not something that you have to do. This next slide just shows you how I'll be grading. Please know that the grading rubric that I used is based on state standards. So these are things that the state says you should be able to do by the time you finish your 9th grade year. So first, I'll be looking at your preparation. Did you actually read and analyze the text? Have you written and answered your own questions? I'll be also looking at your participation. Are you participating in the discussion in a meaningful way? The keyword there is meaningful. Are you actually contributing something thought-provoking to the discussion, or are you just saying, yeah, no, I don't know? Okay, we want you to be contributing something that's meaningful. Okay, also, are you monopolizing the discussion? Okay, some people like to lead and sometimes maybe talk too much. Okay, we don't want you to spend all of the time talking when there's 4 other people that should be sharing their perspectives also. So I'll be looking to see if you are sharing the time to talk equally with your classmates. Number 3, we'll also be looking at your speaking skills. Are you speaking loud enough? Are you speaking in a way that's easy to follow and understand? Are you speaking to everyone, or are you only directing your questions to one person in the discussion? 4, I'll look at your communication or your listening skills. Are you demonstrating active listening skills? Are you using those facials, the body language, the gestures? Are you building off of each other's ideas? You can show me that you've been actively listening to the discussion by saying, oh, as so-and-so said, and repeating things that you've heard. And lastly, I'll also be looking at your reasoning skills. Okay, this is where you can provide textual evidence. So I'll be looking, are you verbally citing evidence from the text? Are you saying on page blank, it says blank? Okay, are you demonstrating deep understanding of the text? Okay, so again, these are the skills that you'll be assessed on when we do Socratic seminars, and these skills are based on state standards. And that is just a little bit about Socratic seminar. Now, I know that this is a new process for you, and so you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed or even confused. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll be sure to answer those questions as soon as I can. Also, a lot of the time, students just need to participate in their first discussion. So if you have questions about the way it's going to work, just be patient and trust the process, and you'll understand how it works as soon as we attempt our first practice Socratic seminar. Thanks for watching, everyone.